This week, I'm going to remind us how to set up our drawing for self-portraits. So when you're drawing a person, you want to start by drawing a circle. And remember, all of the lines that we are going to use are going to be light sketching lines. So I'm going to draw a circle. And I can draw this many times. As long as it's very light, it will erase very easily. Then I'm going to turn the circle into an egg by bringing my line off the edge of the circle and kind of down to a point. Off the edge of the circle, down to a point. I'm going to smooth out any kind of lumpy bumpiness that's going on. And remember, eggs do not have a sharp point, they have a bit of a curve. So I can darken up this line a little bit along the bottom. I'm going to leave the line up there pretty light though. Then I'm going to erase the bottom of this circle, so I'm just left with the egg shape. And it's a little tricky to erase, but I can do it. You're welcome to use a pencil that has an eraser on the end, or you can use a separate eraser. Either way will work. As long as you're using light sketching lines, your material should erase pretty easily. Okay. Then I want to divide my face vertically in half with a nice, straight, very light sketching line. And I'm going to do the same halfway again. Now we call this the T, and before you go any further, I want you to double check. I want you to check and make sure this section of your circle, or of your egg, is the same length as this section. If it's way off, you need to move this line either up or down. So from where I am, looks like I need to move my line down just a little bit. So this is my halfway point of my face. And if you think back to our lesson where we were exploring those foam heads, we actually discovered that our eyes are in fact halfway down our whole heads. Even though they're further up in our face, we're not just drawing our faces, we're drawing our heads. So I want to draw my eyes on this line, that's where they go. And remember, when we're drawing eyes, we draw a circle. That's the colored part of our iris. And we draw 2 dots outside. That's where the lids will go. So check and make sure, figure out this size, and put another one of about the same size on the line on this side. Now you want to make sure that these are about the same size. You don't want one getting super big and one being super small. So right now mine's a little bit off. This one's a little smaller than it should be. Double check. You can just use your fingers for this to check and see, okay, they're about the same. How are those circles? Or should one be bigger, one be smaller? And then one more thing to check is we want to make sure that you in the middle. You also want to make sure there's a good amount of space on the left and right, about the same size as the eye. If it's very, very different, you want to erase and try again. If the eyes are way too big, if there's not enough space, you've got cartoon eyes instead of realistic eyes, and so we want to erase and try again. If they're pretty good, then they're pretty good. We're ready to move on to the next step. So then we'll add our eyelids. And remember, this is just the basic. So at this point, if you want to look at your own eyes in the mirror, you can kind of see what your eyes look like. How much do the colored part do you see when it's open? Some people have more like different kinds of shapes. Remember, we want to erase any part of that circle that crosses our eyelid and draw a second line for the top of the eyelid. So like something like that. Okay, then we will add the pupil, or the bit in the middle, looking out at your viewer. The next step is to draw the next line down your face. So you want to very gently, and using Whisper Soft lines, always, drawing that line halfway down again. So, and then before you move on, you want to double check, is this the same length as this? Double check. You can just use your fingers like this, and if it's pretty close, you're good to go. If it's really off, you want to move it around a little bit. You can also use your own face at this point, looking in the mirror, and see, you know, from your eyes to your chin, where does your nose end? Because that's where what this line is. This is the nose ending line. Whoopsies. So you want to make sure that this line goes where it should go. And then the next line is your, where do your lips end in relation to the bottom of your chin? So between your nose and your lips, where are they? So usually that's about halfway. Where do your lips end, the bottom lip? But some people are in slightly different spots. So you can move these lines up or down as you need to. But keep in mind, this is the bottom of your chin. Okay, this is where the center of your eyes are. So you can move those lines as you need to. Then we'll draw the nose. So the nose tip ends here, okay, at this line here. And then your nostrils should be as wide as the space between your eyes, using those shapes that we kind of learned, those ellipse shapes that overlap, darkening those lines on the outside, darkening just the tip of that circle to make your nose, and then erasing kind of everything else. Remember, noses are all about what isn't shown or what isn't there. And we'll add on to this with blending in the lesson next week. We're just going to get everything down in pencil today to make sure that those shapes are all there in the right spots. So we'll add on to this next week. And then we do the lips shapes. Remember, these are the muscles inside your lips, the things that let you be able to talk and smile and laugh and whatever, everything. So we want to follow these muscle shapes with our pencil, and then touching on those shapes to get the outside shape. Coming up. And then erasing those inside shapes. Because remember, those are just there to kind of help guide us so we don't end up with straight lines. Because, of course, nothing on your face is actually made out of a straight line because we're organic. We are not mechanical. So everything is kind of made out of curves and circles. So we want to have those curvy lines, not straight lines. So at this point, we have kind of those big basic features, and you can go around your face and erase all of those guides. Since we don't really need them anymore, we kind of have all those big facial features, but we're not quite done. We've got a few more things that we need to add. Okay, we're going to add our ears. Remember, our ears go from the bottoms of our eyebrows to the bottoms of our nose. And when we're seeing someone from the front, we don't see a whole ton of their ear, just kind of a little U shape. Make sure we have them on both sides. Even if you have long hair, it covers your ears, you still want to draw them in for now. You can always erase them or cover them up later, but you want to make sure you've got them in the right spots. For drawing hair, because it's hard to get hair to look right if we don't know where the ears are supposed to be. Then our necks are about as wide as our ears. Don't believe me? Go check in the mirror, actually look at that. And then we want to draw the hair. So this is one of the most, we're going to add a shirt collar on, so make sure you give yourself collar. Now it looks like, oh no, we're just a floating head. But actually our shoulders, they go all the way off the paper. Don't try to give yourself like the round shoulders. And you can kind of change this neckline depending on what shirt you're wearing. Maybe you're wearing a tank top, maybe you're wearing a hoodie. But this is just like a basic t-shirt. Might be kind of like that. All right. So for hair, remember that your hair does not start growing up here on the top of your skull unless you shave up until the very top of your head. You actually have hair that grows, you know, everybody's hair starts growing about 1/3 of the way down their head, you know, from the top of your skull down. And then everyone has little hair that grows in front of their ears. So you want to make sure, you know, even if you have really super short hair, your hair should, you know, grow in these places like this, kind of like that. But almost everybody has hair that is longer than shaved down to your skull. So we're going to show how to add those hair lines. Even if you've got pretty short, wispy little hair here, you can add those short little wispy hairs. And Mrs. Miller has a mixed haircut, right? So she's going to have long hair on this side and then the short hair on this side. So I'm going to make my bangs, and my bangs come down from my hair like that, and they're long lines. If you've got short bangs, then you would draw shorter lines. And then my hair is kind of big and it gets long here. I'm just going to have more long lines like this. Now, because I'm using long lines, I don't have to worry about erasing my hair shape, and my hair kind of does go in front of my ear, so it is going to cover up part of that ear, but it's still nice to have that there. And I can kind of build onto my head shape a little bit. And this is where looking in that mirror and really looking to see what your head shape looks like is really helpful. And then on this side, I've got a little bit of bangs, but it's much shorter. And my hair is much shorter on this side. So I'm just going to do shorter lines. And it's still comes down in front of my ear, but not much. So just kind of like that. And I'm going to leave it right there like that. So this is Mrs. Miller basic face, but I have glasses and I have eyelashes, so I might go in and add a couple of those smaller details. Remember, with eyelashes, they should curl, and usually starting from about halfway out. We also want to make sure that we have some shine on our eye, which is the white shiny part that makes it look like your eyes are alive. Kind of important. I'm going to add a couple of little details in there like that. And then I have glasses, so I'm draw those, but you are going to have to look at your own face and see what you need for yours. Do you have glasses? If not, don't draw these. If you do, feel free. But if you have freckles, or if you've got something else, you want to make sure you're going in and adding those things in. Mrs. Miller tends to wear more like V-neck shirt. So whatever you choose to do or to add, you can work on doing that now. If you want to give yourself a little bit more of a smile, you can do that. Change some of these shapes if you want. But that's really all there is for a self-portrait. Is you want. So this is our line work today. We're not going to start doing blending until next week's video. Okay, so do the lines and photograph it and then send it in.